Okay, sick. Nice. Now we can talk about interesting things.
Things.
Oh, I can hear myself. Oh no, that's just you resampling me again. Dude, that's so sick.
Well, it's all influenced by my favorite producer, Mr. Bill. For real. No, like I was just saying before we started recording, I'm slightly nervous because your production is maximum legit. So like,
Also,
yeah.
What I was going to say because we talked about this a little bit off podcast, or off when we weren't recording, and what I was going to say is, no, I would never look at your work and judge it for its like sonic qualities, because I think the value in what you do, I mean, it sounds great as well, and I actually really like the sonic aesthetic of it, but the values of what you do, I think, are more just in the performance and the fact that you're doing it all completely live, which is crazy. Because I mean, like, live electronic music and doing that, especially as fluently as you do it, is just such a crazy like technological hurdle to jump. And I've tried to do it many times, and it's tricky, and it's cool that you figured out a way around it to do it properly and efficiently.
Thanks, man. I'm glad you wouldn't judge me for the lack of studio master ready completeness of the beats, because I think it's like, I think I've managed to like build my setup to a point where I can get some of the way there, enough of the way there that it's already like a problem that it's that clean and quantized and tight and well finessed that people are sometimes they don't believe that it is all live. But like maybe it doesn't matter that it's scrappy. Like some of the best records ever made sound like shit, and it doesn't matter, So I'm hoping that holds true for me. If I fuck up a mix,
Totally.
the vibe is enough to carry it.
I think, and I think it is for sure. I think the performance itself is like enough to carry it, but then on top of that, like you said, you've got the quality sonically up to like a pretty good level as well, and yeah, it's really impressive.
Well, it really resonated with me what you were saying with, I think it was either Steve Duda or Deadmau5. It was one of those two, and you were talking about like this like trade-off between, I think it was Steve Duda. Yeah, you were saying trade-off between ability to perform live and the quality of the output that you actually make.
Yeah, that's true. And like, for instance, you go see a Deadmau5 show, right? And it's like everything just sounds spot on, like nothing is out of place. And literally like all the visuals are completely synced to the show. And there's just nothing like, it's nothing short of like a spectacle to look at, like it's just this big thing that has, it's taken years and years and years to produce basically, and you're seeing it condensed down into like a 90-minute show. Whereas, the value system when you go to a Deadmau5 show is definitely not seeing him play things live. Whereas I think when you go to a Beardyman show, the value of going to a Beardyman show is to see you like make all this stuff on the spot. And also I think like you're just, pretty, I don't know, you have like a lot of character and you're like energetic and stuff like that. So you're just a fun guy to look at and fun guy to watch.
I'm entertaining to look at. Look at the funny man's weird face, mummy. Don't stare. Yeah, I've actually, at the moment, I've got like my eyes bleeding just through, I don't know, sheer stress and the fact that I'm really old now. I don't know, like apparently eyes just start bleeding sometimes. So I've had to I've been streaming, so I had to turn it black and white so it didn't make people completely horrified when I'm looking into the camera.
Wait, so you just like woke up one day and your eye was bleeding?
No, it's not like actually bleeding. It's just like within the eye, like between one of the jelly-like layers, there's like but it's kind of gross. You could cut this out if you want. It's not on topic about music or technology. I want to ask you some questions.
It doesn't have to be. We can talk about like literally anything. We don't have to.
We can talk about the biology of the eye. Let's talk about human anatomy. Yeah, no, I don't want to. It's actually really gross and it's making me feel sick. So it's
kind of like Pringles. If you stack up a few Pringles, it's kind of how an eye works, isn't it?
Exactly like that, and that is science. Okay, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I was thinking about this today. Like, do you think that the path that you've taken is unconventional? And I guess the reason why I'm asking is because when I first came across you and your work, I was like, oh, this guy, because I think it was like through Tom Cosm or something, or like I was trying to find out something about Ableton. It was when I was just sort of starting out in Ableton, like maybe 3 years ago, like really trying to basically leave Logic behind and just go fully Ableton. I think it was something like that. I think maybe it was more than 5 years ago. Fuck knows. Anyway, I came across your work and I was like, oh, this guy is somehow both a sick producer and also a legit Ableton trainer and also a dope sound designer. And I'd never seen that before. I'd only ever seen people being like one of those three things. Like I'd seen people doing like an Ableton tutorial and their beats are whack, or they're like a sound designer, but that's all they do, or they make tunes and they're not gonna like try and educate people. But you seem to have like a really broad funnel to draw people into bill worship, and it's but I think like now, like that path, which is like sort of multiple funnels, if you want to call it that, to use like wanky marketing speak, is like very normal. It's totally the norm, especially in the pandemic where there's no gigs anyway. I hope I haven't answered your question for you. I don't
no, so yeah, I think I know what you're asking. The initial question was like, do you think the path I've taken is unconventional? And I think so. And I think the reason why is because I sort of, the way I look at work and whatnot is just, well, really it's like how I look at life philosophy. Like work just comes sort of after that. And I'm a big proponent of living a good life. And the way that I justify, or the way that I measure like good, what is a good life, is just a life that I really enjoy, but also does not hurt other people, I guess. And also, if possible, like helps other people. So it's just, I try to do stuff that incorporates that philosophy. And for the most part, like I don't know, sometimes I think, oh man, I could just like, try to ghost produce bangers for pop artists or something like that, or I could try to do something that's like more lucrative maybe. But then I think about it, I'm like, man, then I would have to like be on call like 24 hours a day for people who want mix downs done and shit like that, and that I don't think I would find enjoyable, and then I would constitute that as a less good life, having more money but less time than current. But other than that, your other statement about like people who are usually good Ableton teachers usually make shitty beats and like so on and so forth. It's like I kind of somewhat agree, but I think there's like a lot of exceptions out there now. But yeah, I understand.
There are now, more so now.
Yeah,
more so now. Yeah,
I understand what you mean though. Like sometimes someone will be like, "Oh, here's how you do like a bunch of shit in the program," but then like they make sort of weird sounding beats or whatever. But I don't know. Music's subjective, right? It's always hard to listen to someone's stuff if they clearly know what they're talking about and say that it's bad, because you've always got to assume that that's exactly how they probably wanted it to sound, right? And then maybe you just got to be like, all right, it sounds like you just have a very different idea of what good sounding music is than me.
But yeah, it's funny. It's like, I always wonder that about sound designers that make presets for keyboards. Like,
they're always so corny, right?
They're so corny, and they're like, maybe. I mean, that used to be true. Like, to an extent, like if you have this giant workstation synthesizer, like a Korg thing or something, they're just trying to show off the capabilities of the machine, and it can do these mad kind of spacey sounds that are like a whole ambient track within one preset or something. But like, I don't know, that's less true now because that's what I was trying to say. I think like I'm going down a path which is closer to the thing that you were doing like 5 years ago than I ever thought I'd be doing. And it's because of Patreon and the fact that it's kind of, I'm growing a community now around me and what I do. And that's paying my mortgage. And it's part of like me giving my, like anything I have learned, any expertise I have at all, I'm now giving back to the people who are paying my mortgage. And by the same token, they get to sort of peek into my creative process. So that I'm not like making stuff in secret and then pretending that everything I do is dope. I'm like giving the offcuts to people because they're actually interested in it. So I guess it's Patreon that's leading me to think in this way. But I kind of feel like that whole thing about kind of developing things in secret and then really trying to release them like fully formed into the world isn't really a thing anymore. And I feel like you, like, being a pedagogue as well as an artist, you were kind of ahead of the curve in that sense, you know?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, the way I looked at it was from like day one, when I was like getting into music, I was like, all right, if I want this to be my job, like how can I make it a wage? And I always thought like, I kind of did the rough math in my head of like how many records do you have to sell to be a successful artist, and I always realized I was just like, man, it's like not possible. How the fuck do people do this? And then I thought about it, and I kind of saw where the internet was going in terms of its like speed increase, and kind of saw like streaming getting more popular in around 2010, stuff like that. And I was like, I mean, clearly something like Netflix and all of that stuff is going to happen. I think at the time they already had, they probably already had some early streaming services. They definitely, I think Ustream existed back then, but also, cable TV existed. And I'm not going to say like I completely saw where the internet and technology was going, but I had like some sort of idea, and the technology was already sort of there at that time. So I was like, well, it just makes sense, right, to try and like turn this into a wage by starting a subscription service. And at the time, subscription services were not that popular, but now it's like the main business model, which is crazy. Like everyone is basically like, pay $5 a month for access to blah, blah, blah. But
you were way ahead of the curve. You were way ahead of it. Like that, I mean, I don't know. Do you ever think about it that way? You're like, I mean, well, the person who did it first maybe was Prince, like in the late 90s. He was like, fuck it. Fuck the major labels, fuck it all.
Well, what about Radiohead?
It's a subscription.
Radiohead.
They did that much later. They did it 10 years later.
Right, and they also did a slightly different thing. It wasn't a subscription. It was just like...
It's not a subscription. They just pay what you want.
Gave their thing away for whatever you want to pay, yeah, that was cool. I think that was like maybe the start, like the precursor to Bandcamp or something like that.
Yeah. And Bowie offered Bowie bonds, I think, in like the year 2000 or something, where you could...
Bowie bond.
A Bowie bond. I mean, I don't think any artist's done it before or since, but you could basically give Bowie a bunch of money, and then you're basically buying a chunk of his business.
Oh wow!
Like
so whatever,
basically like a public share offering kind of thing.
Jesus, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, he was amazing. I miss him every day. It's weird. It's actually creepy how much I miss him, considering I never met him. He never knew who I was. It's weird. I don't know.
The artist-fan relationship is kind of weird, right? Like when you meet someone that you're a giant fan of, or when somebody meets you who's a giant fan of you, and you've put so much of yourself out there, like say you have or I have, it's really asymmetrical, the relationship there, right? Because the person meeting you like really thinks they know you and that you're friends, basically, because like they've heard so much of your voice and whatnot online, and then you have like absolutely no idea who this other person is.
But I mean, you got to be careful with it, because if you've been putting your best self out there and clipping your best self, your idealized version of your personality into videos, and then someone meets you, and if you respond to the adoration that they're giving you in the moment too much all the time, then you can lose yourself. And I think that happens to people who achieve like crazy levels of fame. Like they forget that they're still just a flawed person. But at the same time, like that's breaking down too with Patreon and streaming and Instagram and all this kind of stuff. Like there's only so much you can put on a front these days. Like I just think it's all gone. There's no visage anymore. There's no, like fakeness is harder to pull off. Like you really have to go out of your way to like be a character online or something. Like you might as well just be yourself, because that's what people want anyway. And it's unsustainable to try and be someone you're not. So you might as well just talk shit, and if people don't like you, you won't do well. Just be yourself. You might as well.
Yeah, I kind of agree. And I also think I've thought about this a bunch, is like the more of yourself that you put out there, just kind of gives more for the public to like latch onto. You know, like what am I trying to say? Like the more of your personality that you exert, the more there is of you to get into as an artist, I think. Like withholding a lot of your personality, I think can, you know, give or just withholding it, like a lot of, like what you said, the offcuts and stuff like that, I think it really has the opposite of intended effect, which is, I guess, usually the intended effect for being so selective with what you put out is because you're really trying to focus, and you're really trying to sort of, you know, put forward this really carefully curated front. But I think, when you don't do that and you just like put everything out and just be yourself on the internet, it kind of, at least for me, I feel like has had like the opposite effect, which is like people just like it more, I think, than if I had of just, you know, made a carefully curated project from the get-go.
Yeah. I mean, a good example is Deadmau5, who never holds back really, you know, from just being every bit as nerdy as he would want to be. His image is either a sort of opaque, light up mouse head, or just the sort of slightly spiky personality nerd that he really is. And that's fine. Like no one gives a fuck. Like it's not, I think the era of squeaky clean pop product is so gone, so disappeared, to the extent that now I feel like, you know, how it is with me and my Patreon at the moment is, I mean, I did a masterclass the other day with Laura Escudet, if you know her, and she's
I do know her,
she's great, and she's got this little community that she's built where people pay a subscription to get all of her brain, and if you want to build a live system, she can help you do it.
Yeah,
and
she's the one. She builds like Kanye's live system and stuff, doesn't she?
Yeah, she did anyway. But there's a real like collaborative community kind of thing, like, you know, in university, like a seminar after a lecture where everyone's kind of helping each other to kind of understand what they're chewing through, and there's like a mutual exchange of, we're all on this trip together of trying to figure out how to get the most out of music technology to make I say assuming that like anyone listening to this is on this trip, but like essentially anyone who's like either listening to music and wants to make it, or is making it, or is really smashing it and like earning money off it, whether you're just starting out or you're like, you've got loads of knowledge that you can give, there's still an exchange where, because there's no like central authority on music tech, everyone's on this journey together where everyone's found crazy little hacks. Even someone coming up who maybe their mixes sound like shit, but they're still doing really interesting sound design. Like everyone can learn from each other. So I feel like, yeah, like we're saying, like holding back the works in progress is not the right thing to do. It's not going to help you to do that. And I feel like the artist now is not someone who polishes up something and then puts it out into the world. Like if you like an artist, generally you're happy to go on their journey with them. Maybe that's what you want. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say like, say for instance, like I'm a big fan of Skrillex, right? Like I think his production and mix downs and songwriting and everything is really top notch. And, you know, he puts out one song every now and then. Usually he doesn't really do albums, it seems like, anymore. It's just sort of pop music singles here and there with collaborators. But yeah, man, I would love to just hear all the demos on his hard drive, and I'd stream the shit out of that on Spotify. I wouldn't give a shit if like the levels were everywhere and whatnot. You know, I think everyone would. And sure, there would be like some people on the internet who are like, oh, why don't like you finish all that crap? And I mean, some people are like that. For instance, my buddy Tipper, he told me once that when Aphex Twin dumped his whole thing on SoundCloud, he found it a little off-putting. But he's also the kind of person, you know, who like is one of those people who very carefully curates what they put out. So he's of like the opposite opinion that you should carefully curate everything you put out. So it's kind of like worth someone's time, I guess, to...
Oh, don't get me wrong. You definitely should be really careful what you put out on the mainstream platforms.
Like, you mean full, like distributed releases or whatever?
Yeah, like if you're putting something out on a streaming service where the public have access to it unwalled, you should be very guarded about what you're curating out there into the world. But because fandom now exists in a kind of direct kind of remuneration kind of vector by things like Patreon and Ko-fi and whatever the others are, like you can give the works in progress and share the journey with your fans. And I don't want this to be an advert for Patreon, but I can't help but do that because I can't help but evangelize about it because it's changed my fucking life. Like it's changed who I am as an artist, where I was very guarded and quite insular, and it's changed what I do in the studio because like it's really easy when you're on your own in your studio to like forget that there are other humans in the world. And there's this whole thing that Jack Conte, this Patreon CEO, has got about when he does talks about this kind of stuff, about working to publish rather than to finish something. And so remembering that you've got this like hardcore of fans that you can share works in progress with, it keeps it even more in mind that like, remember at every step of the process what it is you're doing, that you're trying to make a track. It's very easy to lose sight of what you're doing in a creative process and work on a snare for 2 hours or like, you know, do shitloads of sound design with no idea of what it is you want to make, or not to have a process, or not to have like a schedule, or I don't know. I think I've sort of meandered from what I was originally trying to say, but I don't know. Patreon has really changed how I feel about music and about creativity. I mean, I could go on evangelizing, but I should probably finish that sentence.
Yeah, I feel similarly. I mean, this podcast has a Patreon associated with it where people who sign up basically get access to the episodes a little earlier than everyone else. And that's really just to sort of give a little bit of money to the guy who edits this podcast, Robert, because, you know, he can't just edit these podcasts for free, I guess. So we needed to sort of set up some form of income stream for it to get him paid. So that's cool. But other, like in terms of sort of publishing along the way, I think I more use Twitch for that because I stream my music production sessions on Twitch a lot. So it's sort of like it's being published in real time almost, you know, like as I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And I guess the same applies to Patreon if you just have, you know, yourself streaming behind a paywall on there or something like that, or just videos that you're uploading.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there are loads of options for doing it now. I mean, you've got like your own like sort of like masterclass crew subscription thing that you can sign up to, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because you're that ahead of the curve. Yeah. So that's how you've chosen to do it, because you were like you innovated in that space. But then laggers like me are using Patreon, and then there's Ko-fi or however you pronounce it, or you can become a Twitch streamer, as lots of fucking EDM producers have done. Like Eliminate has become this really dope YouTuber, just doing really memey, jokey music production, stream, cut down kind of thing. Like, it's brilliant.
His production is so sick.
Yeah.
He's definitely got like some of the best mix downs and sound design, I think, in the dubstep game at least.
And it's fun and creative and silly and sick, and you can tell, like, it feels fun. And then, like, it's no surprise that his personality is also, like, really fun and really dry and, like witty and shit. But, like, he's chosen to do that because there were no gigs. So he's like, okay, I'm quite a funny cunt. I'll make some YouTube. And he's absolutely smashing it. I mean, like, I think this COVID situation has forced musicians to get really creative and really serious about like streaming and alternative income streams. And I think that's going to have a real effect on what it is to be an artist and what it is to be a musician.
Yeah, I agree. I think in some ways that's a positive thing for sure. Because I think at the end of this, you're gonna have like obviously still people are gonna be doing the tour grind and stuff like that, where they're doing shitloads of live shows to try and make money that way. But yeah, I think Twitch and Patreon and all of these platforms having to have adapted so heavily to all the new people coming into these platforms because of COVID is going to be a positive thing for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about this today as well. Like, it used to be the case that there was a monolithic marketing sort of behemoth that you could buy into or that would buy into you. And if you're lucky and you play their game and use their opportunities and their system, then you could, if you were really lucky and really hardworking and really talented, make it as a musician. And that was a very, very, very standardized model where it was, I don't know, make a shit demo, someone from a big record company hears potential in it and pays for you to be in an expensive studio. You're already racking up debt to the record company. Then you are out on the road, still racking up debt to the record company, and then you're grinding. Maybe you'll get a song on the radio if you're lucky. Maybe you'll get a second if you're very lucky and you really smash it. Like, the band could fall apart at any moment because it's a crazy life. So, like, it was pretty unlikely that people would kind of, make it. And then the DJ model came and disrupted things. And then the sort of producer, electronic musician thing didn't necessarily disrupt things, but it certainly made things more creative. But now that giant marketing monolith of like the music press, radio, TV spots, selling physical products and touring and any of the sort of marketing pursuits that are surrounding that industry, they've all gone. Like, they're still there, but you don't need them. It behoves you as an artist to do that shit yourself now, because there's all these social media sites. You just have to be canny about how to use them. So it's on you to market yourself in any way you think might suit you.
Yeah, I'd agree with that for sure. I think that's good though. I mean, I think it's a lot better than the system that existed before. In some ways though, the system that existed before, if you could impress that gatekeeper and they let you in the front door, it's kind of like they were able to put you on a platform that wasn't so saturated with noise. So you would stand out more. Whereas these days, anyone can be on the platform. But the other side of that is it's so noisy that it's really hard to be noticed among people on that platform. It's just like millions of tracks being uploaded every day. It's like, how are you going to make your one stand out, right? So there has to be something unique about you, and you also have to be good at marketing. You have to be good at a lot of shit these days, I think, to be a successful musician.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny though, cutting above the noise, it's kind of, with the old marketing model where there were just only a few TV channels, only a few places that you could get an album reviewed, only a few TV spots you could get on. Like, if you were in, you were made, and then your second album might be dog shit, but you'd still sell millions of copies, and then you're done. So it wasn't very forgiving of failure, or you do one shitty... Like, there was a band in 1999, I think it was, called Gay Dad, and they were quite a good band. Like, they made some really good songs, and they were so overhyped. Like, I Wikipedia'd these guys the other day because I remember them from my youth. I was like, I remember Gay Dad. They were a fucking great band, and they made some really tight songs. And they still go around my head sometimes. And their music's been used on ads and stuff because it's genuinely really good. But like, they came out of nowhere and were overhyped, could not live up to the hype. Then they disbanded in disgrace because their second album couldn't live up to the hype that was generated around them. And that was so typical of what used to happen all the fucking time. So they're probably lumbered with loads of debt to the record company that they were never going to recoup, and then no one's going to touch them with a barge pole. So they couldn't get a deal if they wanted to because there's a 5-year break clause on it or whatever. that was the model. It was set up for failure, for people to like raise their head above water and then become a whipping boy for the whole of
it was set
music.
up for the like the head honchos of the industry to make money. Really, it was set up for the labels and the distribution platforms and stuff. It was not set up for artists. But I mean, these new platforms that are rising, like Patreon, that was made by an artist. It was made by this Jack Conti dude who's, as far as I know, started out as like a YouTuber doing these really interesting music videos, right?
Yeah, no, he's great. Like I hung out with him online a few times because we did a little collab thing for one of his like secret channels that he's got. He's got like sub channels and stuff. But so I got a chance to like talk to him because I've been a fan of him for years. Like, yeah, he's like just a YouTuber making really creative, weird, genuinely good music and music videos and stuff like this. And I don't know, Patreon's one of those things that just had to come into existence. Its existence was necessary, like Kickstarter. It was just, this was a model that needed to happen. The person who made the platform and made it well and made it for the right reasons and had the right motivations, that it was gonna take off. It had to. Like, the model was broken before, that you'd have to get something past a commissioner. Like, even for TV, it's the same. It's all backwards. When you're trying to show someone with more money than you that they should lend you money to make the thing that you want, that's all wrong. Like, the way that we have now with Kickstarter and Patreon and all these other kind of things, the crowdfunding model means that art can be made the way that it always should have been, but there wasn't the technology to do it. Like, there used to be patronage that was like a king or a cleric or something, back in the day. But now it's literally the people consuming the art that like pay you to keep doing it. I mean, I can't evangelize about that enough. Not like necessarily the platform Patreon, although I fucking do love it. It's that exists at all is game-changing for artistry. All the bullshit of like trying to present yourself as being something you're not, or like trying to get a hit, or trying to get like just vying for, this hierarchy. It's all bullshit. Like, art should just be something that is done by people who are doing it because they fucking need to make it. Like, I once heard that like you don't become a poet, you're diagnosed with it. Do you know what I mean? I think that applies to any art form. It's like don't tell me that you do the music you do because you feel somehow obligated. You fucking just want to make some dope shit, right?
Yeah, I mean, in some way, I feel like obligated, but it's not due to any sort of environmental or external factors. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that that people should just make art for the sake of it, and I think making art for other reasons, like monetary gain or stature gain, or any of those sort of materialistic reasons is definitely wrong and always yields worse art. And it's sort of counterintuitive, right? Because it's like the thing that those people want, that materialistic stuff, is, in my opinion, 100% more likely to come from art that's just made for the sake of arting. And and the opposite is also true, at least of like what I think of art that's made for the sake of trying to gain money or anything like that. I always think it's just the worst shit, and you can always tell like that it's just a cash grab thing or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you really can. Then again, there might be people out there who really fucking love shit pop music that's been contrived from the ground up to make money. Maybe, I mean, I think there are a lot of people out there who don't want anything challenging or experimental or overly complex. They really just want some pop music. I think that is.
But,
I mean, Jesus, how many people voted for Donald Trump? Do you know what I'm saying? There are cunts everywhere.
But you can you can have what was I going to say? Like you can have music that's really consonant and simple and not challenging really, but also like you can tell it's really intelligent and creative and done just because they wanted to make something artistic. Like a good example might be Gotye's song. What's that song called? The big one.
That's dope though. That's dope.
Yeah, but I mean, that's pop music, right? It's not challenging. It's simple.
Oh,
it's
right,
consonant.
for sure, yeah. I think I was thinking of like Lady Gaga's super brash sort of in your face, like maximum wall of Hoovers kind of thing. That is,
Yeah.
I can't stand that shit. Like she's very talented, but oh God, I don't enjoy listening to her music.
So-
I have this like weird respect for her, but I don't like her music. But some people really do, right?
The same guy, actually, I was listening to a podcast literally this morning with this guy on it called Tom Norris. And this dude, Tom Norris, he is in an act called Grey. And he does all the mix downs for Skrillex and Zed and those guys. So he's like just an incredible mix engineer. And he also does all the like sort of mix engineering for Lady Gaga as well. But yeah.
Right. I mean, shit as well makes like, look, my kid, my 6-year-old, I just gave him like his own Spotify account because I want to hasten my demise as an artist. I don't know why, but like, yeah. So he's now part of the criminal cabal. But yeah, the Spotify Kids thing is weird. I wasn't even aware of it till yesterday. Strangely, there's no Deadmau5 on it, which is a shame because
Spotify
he's a fan.
Kids?
Spotify Kids, and it's very curated and easy for a child to operate, but it gives you lots of Marshmello and Disney shit, and like so. But I'm listening to it, and he's like, "Daddy, do you like this? Daddy, do you like this?" He's super into it. Like Marshmello's music is not my bag, but man, he's really successful, and I just have to accept that there's music which I don't like because it sounds like it's made of plastic, but some people absolutely adore, right? They really get off on like pop, right? Like that's a whole, I don't like it, but people do.
Yeah,
Bear
I've
that
had
in mind.
the thought before that if like 100 million people like a thing and I think it's trash, does that make me wrong, or does that make 100 million people wrong?
But like you're musically trained, right? So you've been inured against sort of bland chord progressions and stuff like that. Like maybe people that didn't necessarily have musical training when they were younger, that shit, you know, really basic songs still sound really novel to them, or it doesn't, you know, if you learn music, if you learn jazz or something, it refines your musical palette, and then, you know, to use a food analogy, like, you know, you wouldn't necessarily want to go to McDonald's after you've got a really refined palate and you know how exquisite food can be. You know, maybe it's just to do with what you've been exposed to.
McDonald's kind of slaps though, not gonna lie.
Apparently lots of top chefs still go to a Mackie D's just to get something quick and dirty.
Dude, it's salt, sugar, what more do you want? Fat. It's a bunch
MSG.
of,
exactly. It gives you that McDonald's hit. Boom.
Yeah, it makes you feel like shit afterwards, but you know, it's designed to be tasty.
The worst thing ever is Burger King on a come down, because that shit's just like, it's not, it falls apart in your mouth, and it's just, and as it falls apart, you're like, oh, what am I doing? Like the moral part of it hits you as well as the food's disintegrating. It's bad, don't do it.
Actually, I don't even think I've ever been to a Burger King. So in Australia, there's no such thing as Burger King. It's called Hungry Jack's. And the reason why is because somebody had just already trademarked Burger King over there as like some other thing. So they couldn't start it there. So they rebranded as Hungry Jack's. And it's like a whole different brand. It's like red and yellow instead of blue and white or whatever it is here. Actually, it looks a lot like McDonald's, to be honest, in Australia. Maybe they like learned their lesson here and were like, fuck, we needed to be more red and yellow. So then they did that shit in Australia or something.
Red and yellow are very kind of carnal colors, aren't they? And if you see that in nature, it means like danger, blood, tearing flesh apart. That's what it appeals to.
Yeah, doesn't it depend on where you are? Because like I think in some parts of the world, if you want to get away from the black shit and like be near the colorful shit, and then in other parts of the world, you want to like not go near colorful shit and be near the like gray and brown shit.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So like
you mean like camouflage?
No, so you know how you like go into a forest, right? And there's like a bunch of different colors. There's like a lot of insects, and some of them are really colorful, and some of them are more like bland, like just brown or black or gray or whatever. Yeah. So in some parts of the world, like Australia, for instance, a lot of those like dark black or gray or brown insects, like spiders and snakes and stuff like that, are the most poisonous. But in other parts of the world, and then the opposite is mostly true in Australia too. If it's like really colorful, it's generally like not that harmless. And then the opposite can be true in other parts of the world. The colorful shit is like super harmful and vice versa.
Jesus, that's another aspect of Australia that I didn't realize makes it the most fucking deadly place in the world. Like, Australia's out to kill you anyway. You go out into the bush and there's like just things that can make you dead. I didn't realize that the color coding system that's true the whole of the world is reversed in Australia. What the fuck?
Yeah, totally.
Jesus Christ. Australian fucking spiders are so nuts. Like, I did this bush stuff in
Oh, dude, you went to a doof? That's sick.
I went to I played a doof.
That's where I started my electronic music journey, at a doof.
Yeah, no doubt. But it's
you know how hard it is to explain what a doof is to anybody else who's not been to one?
You're gonna do it? You're gonna do it?
I've tried. It's impossible.
You're gonna explain?
It's also impossible to explain to someone what a bogan is.
Try.
I mean,
how close can you get?
I mean, the way I explain it to Americans is it's kind of like a hillbilly, but not quite. It's like a hillbilly, but like worse. And
in what way worse?
They drink way more. They fight way more. They definitely have like a lot more toxic masculinity. They usually are tradies. Like, they work at like metal fabrication shops, or like
down a mine.
Yeah, something like that. And they're just always at the pub. It's like as soon as they get off work, they're like always at the pub in their high-vis shirts, smashing schooners. And I don't know. It's just you've
just lost the bogan market completely with that shit. They're gonna come to get you now.
No, but this is the thing, dude. Bogans are self-hating. Like, so it's all.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, great. I was
like, from that description, they're just going to be like, "Oh, fuck yeah, mate. Yeah, you nailed it. I go to my metal fabrication job. I go home, I smash a few skewies, go home to the wife, eat some steak, eggs, and chips. Back at it the next morning, mate. Fucking Bob's your uncle."
Oh, amazing. Yeah, I was touring around in Australia years and years and years ago as part of this weird marketing activity for, I think it was Bacardi or something, and we were on this train going through, like, they don't use the trains really anymore along the sort of southeast coastline of Australia. Everyone flies, but like, it's still there. So I was doing this thing where they had like all these like big artists in the Antipodes from, this was like 2007 or something. So there was like Panau, Scribe, God, I can't even remember who else, but it was the Bumblebees.
Wait, this was a doof?
No, this is a different story. I was on a train. Yeah, no, I was doing this like thing on a train, and like we were stopping at every city along the way, along the coast.
Gotcha.
And I stopped in Wollongong, and so we'd do what we did in every city on this train tour. We'd like get off the train, unload all our shit, set up in a venue, do the show, and then pack up and go home. But during this during this gig in Wollongong, which is this tiny little sort of satellite,
like a coastal town.
Yeah, and like. I was doing, I think it was I Want to Be a Hippie, just because I thought it would be funny. And someone threw a shoe at my head. Wow. And I was like, oh my God, that is
Yeah, it's probably extreme. A bogan, dude.
Yeah, right. I was only doing it for a joke, but someone's like, fuck off, you can't smack. Oh my God. Yeah, so Australia's crazy. But yeah, no, the bush stuff that I played in a while ago, where even was I? I have no idea. I can't remember. But like, what I do remember is that our guide said to us, she was like, I'm just going to drive you to the accommodation. You should know that it just rained, so there'll be funnel webs everywhere. And I was like, what?
Okay, it sounds like you're in probably northern New South Wales, maybe, like Coffs Harbour or something like that.
Something like that. Something like that. Yeah, but I didn't see any funnel webs. Oh, no, it wasn't funnel webs, sorry, because they are only in very specific parts. It was huntsmen that she said would be everywhere.
Oh, huntsmen's, they look scarier, but they're not that bad.
Yeah, I mean, they're a bit, yeah, I didn't see any. I wanted to see one, but I didn't. But instead I saw this golden orb weaver spider, which was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Like a giant, like the size of a hand, but with very kind of pointy legs, like a sort of garden spider thing. And this one thick, like sort of golden thread hanging up the rest of the web. One of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. I don't know how dangerous that would be to a human. probably not a threat.
If
I
it's
don't know.
colorful in Australia, it's probably fine.
Right.
Yeah, but funnel webs, for instance, they're like they look like a black shiny SUV if it was a spider. And that's what they are. They're like the security. You know how like if someone like Elon Musk or whatever, they'll like rock up with a security detail, like a bunch of black SUVs around them. Like if you could convert cars to spiders, like they would be the funnel webs.
They're fucking. I mean, the fact that they sort of pounce out of a cone of web that they've made, it's just
Yeah, and they're aggressive
and
too.
they are dangerous. Yeah, and they are dangerous.
Yeah,
Fuck
it's
that
not
shit.
like one of those spiders where if you like go near it and just sort of like leave it alone and it'll leave you alone. No, like they'll bite through your boot.
Ah! But like, any Australian that I talk to about spiders, anytime I've like gone to Australia and been like a bit anxious as I get there, I've been like, are the spiders here? They'll be like, no, I've never seen one, mate. Saw one once. It fucked off. I killed it with a fucking rake. You know, no one seems to care.
Yeah, it's not as bad as it gets made out to be on the internet. I mean, there is dangerous shit there, but the same deal. I mean, like in my whole life, I've seen like 3 or 4 funnel webs and shitloads of huntsmans, but they're not that bad.
Yeah, and you've got antidotes like anti-venom.
Yeah,
in hospitals,
I think
right?
no one has died from a funnel web bite in a long time, as far as I know.
Yeah, she'll be right, mate. Fuck it.
Yeah,
yeah.
You know what?
No, that's the attitude. In fact, there is one thing though. You know, Peppa Pig kids cartoon. They had to remove a Peppa Pig episode about befriending a spider from Australian TV because it was going to teach kids the wrong thing.
Oh wow,
You know,
pretty funny,
like
actually.
Yeah. You can't be teaching Australian kids to be friendly with spiders.
Yeah, that makes sense. I had a friend who came to Australia once. His name's Ro. He's like a Belgian producer, and he came up to me and he's like, I'm not even going to try to do the accent, but he was like, oh, this guy I'm staying with, he just like said this thing. I'm not sure what it means. Can you explain it to me? And I was like, yeah, what did he say? And he was like, cunt's fucked. And I was like, oh yes, you mean the worst word followed by the second worst word.
So, in Australia, swearing is punctuation, and I love that.
Yeah, so like if something is like, you know, bad in Australia, like, or if somebody is really wasted, like if someone's wasted, you'd be like, haha, cunt's fucked. Or if like, you know, if your car breaks down or something, you'd also be like, cunt's fucked. But mostly you would say it for someone if they're like wasted, or if you think someone's doing something like dumb or whatever, you'd be like, cunt's fucked. And another funny thing in Australia that I like didn't really realize was not a thing that anyone does anywhere else until coming here is when something is really good in Australia, like, you know, someone plays you a banger, like a sick tune, you'd be like, oh, bullshit. Like,
I didn't know that was a thing. That's brilliant.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
and
you gotta wonder. I often wonder that, like, how do these like reverse meaning slang phrases originate? Like, who was the first person in the 80s that said, "Yeah, that's bad"? Like, it must have been a first person that decided to flip it. And in what fucking context was it that was first fucking used?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there was just something that was so good that they were just like, that's fine. Like they just lost that shit.
It's just in a moment of just, transcendent, godlike fucking purity that came to them. Yeah, maybe. I think I've had that a few times. Like used a phrase I knew wouldn't be appropriate for comedic effect, but none of mine have become like. Well, one did. Fuck. There was I had this like fucking big hit song with Norman Cook and Calvin Harris that was like Eat, Sleep, Rave, Repeat, and that was some bullshit, and it became this like EDM anthem as dance music was becoming a thing in America in the mainstream. And we never made a penny off any merch. We didn't make any merch. I don't know what our fucking problem was. We could have made, because like even today, I send screen grabs of anything I find that says like, that's like aped that phrase, like eat something, something, repeat. Because it's used everywhere. Like you can just Google it and there's shitloads. Like I'll see someone with a t-shirt with something like that on, like eat, sleep, fucking I don't know, drink milk, repeat, whatever. And I'll just like, I'm so sorry. Can I take a picture of you? And they have no idea that it's being sent to Fatboy Slim.
Sick.
But yeah.
Wait, so before you made that, there was no eat, whatever, repeat shit going on? Like no
Not
one
really. Not in the way that it is now, in that it's kind of a meme. But like,
interesting.
it was definitely a phrase, but like it became much more memeified, you know, because of that. But yeah, like it's using really inappropriate things, or like things that you wouldn't sort of expect, like cookery programs and like, I don't know, accountancy firms, and like they all. I don't know, maybe it was a thing. Maybe
Like
I'm completely
eat,
imagining
sleep,
it. Maybe
do
I'm
your
thinking I
taxes,
invented. Yeah, no, exactly. But like, I don't know. Maybe it's just one of those things where I notice it now, because, and then I'm just laying claim to a phrase that's existed for hundreds of years. Maybe
it's that is.
Could be that. It's probably that. Wow, I've been living a lie.
Phenomena where you notice things more. There's a.
Oh yeah, there's a phrase for it.
The Baader-Meinhof phenomenon is what it's called.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise known as frequency illusion or recency illusion, which is like once you've you know, and actually the reason I just remembered that is because of the Baader-Meinhof effect, because my friend was telling me about it like 2 days ago.
There you go. Pretty freaky.
Yeah, the reason it came up is because I was looking into Bitcoin a bunch like a few days ago. Just mainly, I think it's dumb. I don't like give a shit about Bitcoin, but like I was looking into that a ton and was putting a bunch of energy into it for some reason. And then I was also looking at chess a lot because I play chess a ton. And then the next day I saw like a number plate that said BTC LOL. And then another number plate that said 3D chess. And I was like, what the hell? Like, we're living in the simulation. And then my buddy was like, no, this is just some Baader-Meinhof shit.
Right. Yeah. I think that Baader-Meinhof shit and what's that other cognitive illusion?
Apophenia, maybe?
Which one? What's that one?
Apophenia is where you just make like unrelated connections between different things.
Oh, right. Probably that too. But there's what's the one where you, if you're not an expert in something, that you
the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Dunning-Kruger effect. That's it.
Yeah.
I think those things are what's driving COVID denial and Trumpism and things. It's like particularly with this COVID denial thing, where people just lurch to conspiracy. They're like, there has to be a conspiracy. I must find a pattern. I must find a way to make this make sense. I don't want to question my previously existing worldview. And
where do you think you see the Dunning-Kruger effect the most? Like, in what aspect of life do you think it exists the most prevalently?
I think climate science.
Really? I think it exists the most in driving. You're like, everybody thinks they're a good driver, but everyone is like actually a trash driver, and everyone thinks everyone else is a trash driver.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. That just comes down to humility, I think. But when you're in control of a vehicle, you get very, very tense.
And also very confident, right? Like just having this thin shell of metal around you, you're like, yeah, I can send it on the freeway at 110, it's fine.
Well, there's a weird thing, and again, there's a word for this, but I'm not like a psychologist, so I can't remember what it is, but like maybe it's called like body extension or something. But if someone walks in front of your car and they put their hand on your bonnet, you kind of feel it. Like it's this extension of this kind of like tool building, like extended body thing that we have as humans. Like we're really good at that, where we can sort of project ourselves into whatever we're using. I feel like I do that with my rig.
Interesting. Maybe that's like there's an experiment or like a trick that I've seen on YouTube videos or some science show or some shit where like they will put a fake arm. They'll make someone put their arm into a hole, I think it is, and then on the other side they'll put like a prosthetic arm, and then they'll like hit the prosthetic arm with the hammer, and it like makes people like freak out, like even though they know it's a prosthetic hand or whatever, they can.
Yeah, and there's phantom limb syndrome where you can have your limb amputated, but you still feel it's there. So it's like we have like a specific function of our brain which deals with locating where our body is in space and what constitutes our body and what doesn't. Do you feel like that with Ableton? When you're tweaking away, building some monstrous piece of sound design infrastructure, do you feel that you are the sound design infrastructure? Do you become 50 plugins in a row?
Not necessarily, but I definitely feel like pretty connected to Ableton. Like it doesn't feel like there's much friction between like stuff in my head and getting it out. It's like I feel more comfortable getting musical ideas out of my head into Ableton than I do writing with a pen on paper at this point, because I haven't written with a pen on paper in so long. And now every time I got to like sign something, I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, like any muscle that is like needed to write has just atrophied completely in my hand, obviously, because like feels so dumb like trying to write these days. So in that way, like I feel like it's a bit of an extension. The thing that I think is the most amazing in terms of that I've seen recently anyway, in terms of extensions of people's bodies, is fucking Danny Macaskill, man, on a bike. You seen that guy?
No.
I think he's a British dude. He's biker. Dude, he's insane. He like does the craziest shit on a mountain bike and a BMX that I've ever seen.
You're into your biking now, right? Like you've been doing lots of like moving your body with wheels on mountaintops. Yeah, that's correct. Sick.
I have been biking on the mountain.
That's wicked. I've been locked in my house for like a year with 3 children, and I don't fit into most of my clothes at this point, and I'm just waiting for this nightmare to be over so that I can sort of arrange childcare so that I can, like, I don't know, join a gym, go for a walk, have a shower.
Wait, you haven't been for a walk?
Not really. Who'd look after the kids? Like, I can't leave my wife alone with 3 of them because she's got work to do as well. Honestly, I don't want to moan. It's just that, like, it's crazy to me how different the lives are of everyone experiencing this pandemic. Like, you know, if you're living on your own, your problem might be loneliness and not having physical contact with other human beings. It's probably not like this in Australia. Certainly not in New Zealand or.
Well, Australia is like back to having full-fledged concerts.
Right. Yeah, right. We are on fucking lockdown here.
Yeah,
it is
here.
Maddening. Oh yeah, you're in America, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in San Francisco. I mean, well, it depends, right? Because like you obviously have the federal level, and the federal level in America has just been like fucking work it out at the state level, and then the state level has basically just been like work it out on the local level, and like so everywhere you go has sort of like different rules here, which is just ridiculous. I mean, they should have just like sent rules down from the federal level and been like, this is what everyone does now, like. Which is super dumb. The same issues exists with the vaccine. You know, they perform this modern medical miracle by like making this vaccine in under a year, basically, and now they're at the local level unable to distribute them efficiently. So did you know once you open a vial of the vaccine, there's 10 doses per vial, and you need to use them within an hour or they go off. And they're just having troubles like scheduling 10 people to come in at a time to get their vaccines. It's like the dumbest.
Fuck.
I know, it's the dumbest logistical problem to solve. It like seems way easier to solve than making a fucking vaccine.
Where are the grown-ups? Where the fuck did the adults go? Like, what the fuck is going on? It's so mental that, like, you know, Trump. Fine, let's do it. Let's talk about it. Like,
it was inevitable.
The thing about. Oh, I guess so.
He's out of office tomorrow.
I know. Fucking out of office message. And he's banned from everything. Yep. So, yeah. I mean, he started off the terrorist wing of the Republican Party, which is novel. That's interesting.
Man, the funniest shit from like all the Capitol stuff is the people who got put on like no-fly lists and stuff. There's a video online of this guy in an airport trying to take a flight. He's like, "What do you mean I can't take a flight?" And they're like, "You're on the terrorist list, man. Like you broke into the Capitol."
I'm an American citizen.
Yeah,
yes,
like,
and a terrorist.
Exactly.
Because you tried to take down democracy, you dumb fuck. But like I was saying for years, like Trump is a cult leader and he started a cult. And this will only end in tears. And I was like, it'll be fine, it'll be all right. American democracy is really robust. And I was like, nothing is fucking that robust that one lunatic can't ruin it, you know?
Yeah, it's I mean, it almost got ruined, didn't it? I mean, it got ruined a lot. Not completely, fortunately.
It's vandalism. I feel like it's a form of vandalism, really. Like Trumpism and Brexit as well, these two kind of, you know, right-wing kind of lashings out. I feel like they're understandable on an emotional level or on a psychological level where it's like grievance being acted upon. But there's no like policy there with either of those things that you can point at to say it's a good idea. Like, no, there's nothing expedient or productive about it. It's just grievances being tapped into by people who possibly stand to gain from that. Maybe that sounds trite to even say because it's so obvious, but it's sometimes tempting to think maybe these people have a point. No. They really don't. They have genuine grievances, but they also have a mad demagogue who's lying to them. And I mean, look how many people join cults. Cults are mad. They're mad things. And they're really widespread, especially in America, where the whole country is founded on the idea that you can be a new you. You know, you can have this frontier spirit with your own personality if you want. You can conquer yourself and you can be a better version of yourself and Jesus can heal you and like salvation awaits and fucking calm down, shut the fuck up, meditate for a bit, reconsider your fucking whole psychology.
Do you meditate?
I try, but lockdown and 3 children does not present me with that many opportunities. But actually, I find making music very meditative, and I know that doesn't necessarily count. But like, do you find this with? Do you find that when you meet musicians, do you ever ask them whether they like going on holiday? Because I've often like had this conversation with musicians where they're like, "Oh no, I don't like going on holiday. Why would you?" They're like, because their holiday is like, they've crafted their life around the activity that they love to do, to escape into. And the idea of going on holiday is like, well, why would I sit on a beach? Can I bring my guitar?
Yeah, exactly.
Can I bring my modular? You know?
Yeah, I kind of feel that way, honestly. I definitely feel like when I leave my studio, I can only leave it for a couple of days before I start going like, fuck, I need to like get back and work on some stuff. And part of that, I think, is like because of capitalism, where I'm like, oh, I need to work or I'm going to like run out of money or whatever. And then part of it is just because I really want to work.
Do you find it weird calling it work? Because I sometimes find that strange when I'm like telling my wife and kids or whatever, I'm like, Daddy's going to do some work now. And I'm like, is it work? Because I really love it. I'm really going to enjoy it. Like,
yeah,
it's not drudgery.
Yeah, I mean, if it's what you do, as your profession and it's your main source of income and it's what you spend most of your time doing, whether it be because you like it or whether it be, for capitalistic reasons or whatever, I think you can refer to it as work. And I think like, getting into calling it other shit is just like semantical, really. But
yeah.
I know it does. Yeah, it does feel a little weird, I guess, calling it work. Do you know the word facetious? Is it facetious? Whatever the word is. It's like apparently the only word in the English dictionary where all the vowels are in order, like in the word.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like A-E-I-O-U, like all the way through.
I didn't know that. I didn't even know how to properly spell it. That's a word that I'd have to let spell check do for me.
Yeah, same Grammarly or whatever. Just be like, Grammarly, fix my dumb ass.
There's so many words that I say all the time and then I come to write them and I was like, I've never seen this written. I have no idea how to spell it. And then I can't even find it because I can't Google it because the spelling's so weird. So
there's the word, the word eidetic, when you're talking about like someone who has an eidetic memory, it's spelled like E-I or whatever. It's some weird spelling. Well, the word...
What is that? What is eidetic memory?
It's like photographic memory, like where you just remember everything. Yeah.
Do you have that? Are you a savant?
No, absolutely not. I wish I had that. I have fucking terrible memory, dude. Like, yeah, I think if you had an eidetic memory, you would just be such a good chess player, and I'm a trash chess player.
Do you know, there's one thing I really want to know, and that is there's about like 700 milliseconds of a track that you did with Andrew Huang that I've listened to so many times, and every time I listen to it, it makes my face be like every time. And it's that fucking, I think it's the first drop on that tune you did with Andrew Huang. And I don't know how you've made that noise. It's like this fucking sample takes this crazy journey. Maybe it's something quite simple. Maybe you just fucked with a couple of filters. Maybe there's a Comey thing in there. Maybe you're doing something with mid-side. I don't know what it is, but it fucks my head up every time I hear it. It's amazing.
The project file is on my website. You can just download it and look.
Well, I fucking will.
Yeah, I can give you an account. Yeah, after the podcast, I'll hook you up with an account. I have
Sick.
tons and tons of project files on my website, along with other shit like tutorials and whatnot. But yeah, I try to give away as many project files as I can, pretty much. And the only reason I ever don't is because a label like Mousetrap, for instance, just doesn't want me to. But if whatever I self-release, I release the projects for sure. Because, you know, same thing as you're saying before, it's like it is like kind of offcuts of the, you know, main product, which is you know, the song itself. But at the same time, you know, a lot of people are interested in those offcuts.
You ever concerned that you need to keep innovating because you've given literally the project files to the songs you've made to people that they can just like tweak and change and make their own and like
yeah, but I
steal
think that's a good thing, right? Because then it forces me to
Right.
be on my toes. Like one thing Louis C.K. said, which I think was really insightful, is he said
Do you mind if I masturbate while you watch?
does that, but he also said that was the second most insightful thing he's ever said. The most insightful thing was he said every year he trashes his entire comedy set and then just keeps the one best joke from that set that was like making everyone lose their shit, and then he starts with it the next year, and then he has to make everything after that funnier, you know? So it's like, it's a way of forcing himself to continuously get better. Whereas somebody,
And he got that from George Carlin.
that's possible, yeah. And there's
yeah.
in the same round table conversation I was listening to, Jerry Seinfeld was like, well, what I do is like each year I kind of scrap the worst 10% and then just like add another 10% in, and then like, you know, every 10 years or something, my set is completely recycled. So I mean, I think that's an interesting way to do it. So I kind of have been taking that Louis philosophy, just in this sense, like not in the masturbation sense. I've been taking his philosophy in that, like, in you know, a weird way where it's like, I always just sort of have to start fresh with my ideas, basically, because I'm constantly just sort of like, for lack of a better word, trashing the rest. But I'm not really like trashing the rest. It's almost like when I give away a project file or when I give away a tutorial, it's almost like I'm letting go of that secret, you know, because now it's not a secret anymore. And it's like, it's not a thing that I can just like store and hoard to myself and keep doing over and over again and be like a one-trick pony that relies on this thing anymore, because now everyone has access to it. So,
wow. So that's quite psychologically useful for you to give it away.
I actually think it is. Yeah, I think it's really helpful for like artistic growth.
That's fucking really interesting, because the idea of like sort of purging it from yourself, like letting it go into the stream, like be gone, you are now your public property. Now I have to grow and try things a slightly different way. That's amazing. Dope. I've never thought about it like that. It's funny, I was always really guarded about how my systems have worked over the years, because I just didn't want anyone to catch up, didn't want any like pretenders to my throne or whatever. And like, that's so dumb, because if you genuinely do have anything as an artist, it's the shit you do, not the shit you use to do it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I feel the same way. It's like, if everybody had access to the exact same tricks and the exact same tools and the exact same samples and the exact same speakers, and if everything was identical and every producer had access to it, you still wouldn't get two identical producers.
Nah.
You know, and
I had Jacob Collier come and use my live rig a couple of years ago, and he made it sound just unbelievable, because he's Jacob Collier and he comes from another dimension. And like, that blew my mind. Really blew my mind.
Right, so it's like
He's
all the same
genius.
effects and macros and whatnot that you've set up, and you just showed him how to use it, and he just pulled out completely different results.
Yeah, and he managed just to, I mean, it became what he, you know, it's just a studio. It's just my shit's just a very streamlined.
Yeah, it's an instrument.
Studio.
It's sort of like guitar, right? Like, you know, you have one or two different, you know, major differently designs of guitar, like let's just say acoustic and electric. And you have like millions of guitarists, and a lot of them are extremely different from one another. You know, somebody who's like Steve Vai is completely different to somebody like, I don't know, what's that guy's name? Django Reinhardt or whatever. They're completely.
Yeah, yeah. God, it's amazing. Music's so amazing. It's so weird as like it doesn't exist really. Like it's all in our minds, you know. I mean, like you could say, well, of course it exists. It's like, you can see the waveform. Yeah, but that also doesn't exist. That's just like a list of values that can be shown in a variety of ways.
Are you saying we live in the simulation?
No, I'm not saying that. That's some bullshit. And I'll tell you why. There's, is it Anselm's proof of God that like, is it, or was it St. Augustine or something? Oh, fuck knows. Anyway, there's this one like proof that there must be a God, which is that like, if there is a God, if there is a perfect being, then the perfect being must exist because existence is more perfect than not existing, which is some dumb Monty Python bullshit, just playing with a priori concepts, and it's not helpful or instructive in any way. And I feel that's the same argument with the simulation. I mean, you could probably go more into it, but like, also it kind of cancels out. It just doesn't matter. Okay, so it's a simulation. And
yeah, it's like the experience is the same regardless. So like,
yeah. Yeah, I feel like every podcast needs to ask this question because it's an unanswerable one. Where did the universe come from? I don't know. Let's think about it a lot.
Not just a little bit. Yeah, I'm super into philosophy to the extent that I've like just watched a bunch of YouTube videos about it. But yeah, I think I'm like pretty philosophical with the way I look at stuff most of the time. On like
that doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me actually, because like my approach is very kind of from first principles. How would I like to make music and make art and do stuff? And I'm quite sort of dogged in my pursuit of my methodologies. Like I know what I want to do, and I'll kind of bend the technology to my will to make it do it. And the other people that I know that do that, the specific thing that I do are Jamie Liddell, who had the same kind of back to basics. I want to kind of just extemporize music without capture it before I've had a chance to actually process cognitively what I'm actually doing. And Tim Exile as well.
Yeah.
And those three people, we all studied philosophy at university, which will kind of unpick your mind. It pulls all the wires out of the brain modulator.
That's awesome that you studied philosophy.
Well, I say I studied philosophy. I mainly smoked a lot of weed and read the introductions of loads of books.
Nice.
Yeah, well, kind of. I got to
thing.
the end of the I got to the end of the course and was like, I don't know if that helped me to be more employable at all. So I went and did.
Like, if anything,
design.
I'm now less employable because I just asked too many questions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're like, so what experience do you have? Well, it depends what you mean by experience. Fuck off. Get out of my fucking office. Yeah, it's not a good thing to study for employment, but it's interesting. It clears the decks.
Speaking of like your setup and other people that do it, you've probably heard of Dub Effects, right?
Oh, for sure.
Would you consider him to be sort of on the same type of, doing the same type of thing, or?
I mean, yeah, I guess so, because he's looping and he's beatboxing and singing, but he's actually very different from me in terms of, I guess, his approach to music making, because he tends to go for the standard singer-songwriter model of song composition and then performance. And his improvisation tends not to feature all that much in his shows, from what I understand. I might be wrong about that, but the last time I spoke to him, I think that's where we got to when we were kind of talking about the differences in our approach, that he likes to perform songs. And he's actually kind of moving away from the one man on a looper vibe and going more for some pre-recorded stuff and stuff that isn't looping at all, kind of triggering samples. And his music is informed by a lot of the same things that mine is, I guess, when it's like sort of dubwise stuff and drum and bass and things like that. But I can get much more on like a sort of improvised techno tip quite easily. And I tend to improvise everything anyway. And I tend to inject lots of comedy into what I do. and I actively seek out ways to do that better. But I think what Dub Effects does is he's less concerned about whether or not it's all created in the moment, and more just concerned about making the music that he has in his head. So not necessarily, I wouldn't put him in the same category of lunatic that me and Jamie Liddell and Tim Exile are in.
And would you put Reggie Watts in that category of lunatic?
I would, yeah. And Mark Rebier as well. It's this kind of, this like obsession with improvisation is fairly rare to find, because most people that have like, you know, got a career in music, it's because they rehearse their shit and they play well and they've rehearsed it. So it's quite dumb to just venture out on stage with no idea of what you're going to do. But I'm addicted to it. I've always been addicted to that, to not knowing what I'm going to do is such a, I prefer that feeling of terror that just fucking puts a rod up my ass to be like, just fucking, you better do some shit. It better be dope every second that you're doing it. And it's like riding a roller coaster when you're doing that kind of stuff. But for me, that's better than the feeling of like doing some shit that I've rehearsed, because I always have this nagging thing in my head being like, am I really in this? Am I really like, am I phoning this in?
Yeah, it's easy to like get imposter syndrome when you know, quantize everything and all that kind of stuff. Do you ever get that feeling though when you get off stage? Which, like, I used to play in bands and I used to get this feeling all the time. Like if I would listen back to a recording, I'd be like, "Fuck, I could have done that a little bit better," or like, "Oh, I could have." And yeah, I don't know. Or are you pretty good at like just listening back to a thing if you ever do that and just being like, "Oh, whatever, that one's done now. Like on to the next one."
That's an interesting question for me, because actually I spend an enormous amount of time thinking about that exact question, to the point that I've got thinking about that question down to an art, because what I do these days during like the end times is mostly streaming improvised stuff with the Patreon audience there. They're all talking and chipping in. I'm sampling them in real time and putting them in. And then we're like going through, like re-whack like 70s adverts and laughing at them. And then I'm sampling them, and it's all a free-for-all. But what I do at the end is chop out the good bits and make them into content for the various platforms. So the process of that edit is, I guess, that question. It's like, you know, you asked, can I watch the shit back? And yeah, I can, but I know quite well now which bits I should cut out. And I've crafted my whole system and my whole approach to what I play and how I play it and how I control it live around things I've noticed when I've listened back. So for fucking over a decade, I've been doing live shit and then listening back afterwards. Maybe I'm like smoking a spliff and I'm like, oh, this was the dopest. But then the next day, I've listened back again and I'm like, oh, this sucks. And really, in the moment, in the club, it was great. And, you know, a live improvised set, generally speaking, will be best experienced by people who are there watching it being done. Like my, the guru that I listen to mostly for sort of improvisational philosophy is Keith Johnston, who wrote a book. You'd love his shit. Check out 2 books by Keith Johnston. One is called Improv. The other one is called Improv for Storytellers. It might be Impro. It might be Impro. It's either Impro or Improv. I think the first one's Impro and the next one's Improv for Storytellers. And the first book goes
in the theater. Nice.
Yeah. So he did like what he pioneered in the 60s, living in England and then Canada, ended up becoming Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Wow.
But he wasn't involved in Whose Line Is It Anyway, but his teachings made Whose Line Is It Anyway possible. Nobody was doing quote unquote theater sports until Keith Johnston popularized this stuff. And he basically divined these universal laws of creativity, narrative structure and storytelling and improvisation and mask work, as in like inhabiting a character through some or other totem, be it a mask or an accent or something. All these things are in his philosophy, which you can read in those 2 books. And I live by that shit. And one of the things he said in this book was, it has to actually be good. Like, it's not good enough for, if you come out and you go, hello, ladies and gentlemen, everything's going to be improvised tonight. So everything you hear will be off the top of your head. So, if it's shit, I sometimes do say that because it's a funny way to start a show, but like, his philosophy is like, if you went into a restaurant and the waiter was like, the food might taste horrible, but the chef's improvising, so there you go. Like, you wouldn't go to that fucking restaurant. So, over the years, my systems have been improved incrementally by things I've noticed by listening back to gigs, where I'm like, yeah, that felt cool in the moment, but I need to add this feature. Yeah, that felt cool in the moment, but I need this feature. And comparing and contrasting with the music I want it to sound like, till I've got to the point today where I think I'm finally at a point where I can sort of basically put up a whole stream that I've done where it wasn't in a club, so people were getting off on how sick the bass actually physically was in the room, or by how live it felt, or how exciting it was, or how pissed they were. Like, the music I'm making now genuinely stands up against the music music I have in my head.
Nice.
And the feedback I'm getting says the same.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, let's talk about your setup a little bit, because I would love to understand how that works. I kind of understand a little bit what's going on, but there's definitely some what looks to be touch OSC stuff going on iPads, which looks pretty bespoke to this setup.
It's Lima.
Oh, Lima, okay.
Yeah, Lima by Line. And I got some really good news the other day, because I thought that they'd abandoned the company. I thought that the company had disbanded, but actually I'm testing out the new betas of their stuff. So they are maintaining, which I'm super pleased about, because, I've got like four iPads. Yeah, and they're the ones with the big screens. And it's kind of like, the only people that I know that do shit this way are me and Deadmau5. I don't know of anyone else who relies on touch surfaces. And Deadmau5 uses his own touch OSC pilot, I think he calls it.
Yeah, and he has that like giant screen on stage that he uses to like...
Yeah. And I was actually talking with the guy that develops it for him the other day, and I was asking, like, how many features are you intending to put in this thing? Because I need things like, fucking conditional logic between functions and all these mad interdependencies, and I need really specific things about if you touch a button, it needs to do something. When you release the button, it needs to do something else. Or it needs to do nothing when you touch it, and then only do something if you then break one of the walls of the button with your finger, or all these like gestures which you might have seen them on touch screens. You might have interacted with iOS or whatever by doing swipes or pinches and things like this. But there's so much about touch screens that's underused. Do you know about TC11? It's an iOS app.
No.
Oh, fucking get it, man. It's amazing. It's like, it's wild. And it was made by some people at some or other university. I can't remember which one, but it's got these gestures and then meta gestures. So I don't use it in this rig. I have actually used it in older rigs, but I haven't got around to incorporating it. It's crazy for sound design. Like, it looks like something out of Minority Report. And with that, you can put your finger on the screen, put another finger on the screen, and then it starts to measure the distance between the fingers. It measures the angle of rotation between the fingers. It measures the speed between the fingers, the speed of each independent finger. It can measure the time between finger presses, and all of those can be assigned to any variable in the synthesis engine. It's fucking wild.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I'm just looking at it now on the internet.
It's great. Just get it. And they do a MIDI version, which makes no noise, but you could fucking control a giant modular thing with it. And it's got, obviously it uses the gyroscope as well and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, like, I kind of have that philosophy with the way that I interact with my rig, which is like, why would you... it's great when you can hammer a physical button. There's low latency, you get reliable haptic feedback, it feels like you're touching something. That's all cool, and there is a place for that. And I do have like big rubber buttons on a Novation Launchpad, which I have to use for things like sample triggering and stuff like that. If I've recorded a sample, I don't want to be touching a touchscreen. I could, there's pretty low latency these days on these things, but not as low as with a rubber button. But the amount of control that I need and the amount of complexity that I need to produce dance music in real time is, it's only really achievable with a touchscreen. Like, because you have to do, like, for example, I've got like, for the live streams, I've got a 3-way button, which at the top extent, it lets sound through and the sound can be recorded into my recording buffer. In the middle, it lets sound through, but the sound's not recorded. And on the bottom, the sound does not come through. So that's how I mute everyone. If it's getting a bit too raucous and I'm just trying to make some tunes, I'll turn them off. But like a really efficient way for me to build that was to sort of build a little container and then put like a sort of 3, you know, it's a sort of an XY, but it's sort of, it snaps to these 3 positions. So it's an easy thing to make in something like Lima, but if you wanted to implement that on a sort of rubber button touch surface thing, you're looking at a few buttons that you've just used up. So there's things you can sort of hide in gestures with a touch screen that there's no other way to do. Like, for example, on I've got this tune knob here. So if I go, right, so then I can go, oh, why isn't that working? Oh, maybe it's not. Oh, hang on. Oh, you got to cut that out. Wait, I think maybe did that? Oh, no, that's weird. Did I break that? Oh, fuck knows why that's not working. Oh, no, sorry, it's because I'm pressing the wrong button because I'm a cunt. Right, hang on. Right, here we go. Okay, so something simple like that. So there's like a huge range on that bend. So in this one button, which is maybe the size of like a thumbnail, I've got fine control by moving it just, you know, a few centimeters to the right or left. Or if I put it outside the area of the button, then it goes into sort of wild territory. And then if I press the button and flick it down, then it goes back to the tone that it was recorded at. But you can't do that with a knob. Like you could if you have, like, I think the MIDI fighter has a mode where you can press the button in so you can do more fine control.
Yeah, it's called detent.
And you can, so there is kind of functionality for that kind of stuff. Maybe that was a bad example. Here's one for like saturation. Okay, so that's like just kind of a distortion-y kind of wavefoldy kind of thing. So that's actually an XY. So you've got the shape of the distortion here. And then you've got the extent here. So you probably can't, that's not a good example, but you can't. Maybe I'll do a sine wave.
So yeah, maybe it'll be more pronounced here. So I'll just put on a tiny bit of saturation. So that has its own sonic character, but then on the x-axis, oh fuck it, maybe it's subtle. But basically those two things are different. But that's a tiny button. Maybe, oh, here's one that's more obvious. Right, here's an LFO, so. So I've got the speed and the amount of the LFO tied to the X and the Y axis respectively. And that's on a tiny button like that isn't possible without a touch screen. So if you wanted to have a bit, well, even if you wanted to have like a big XY on a touch screen to do that, like, I don't know how you would do that with a physical piece of hardware.
Yeah, you would need something that's really large, or maybe just like a big array of chaos pads or something like that.
Yeah, but so you can have things where the area of activation is lies
just more
beyond
ergonomic.
the boundaries of the box of where you originally touch it. And this is a relative, so I had to like script this myself because Lima didn't have it. But it's a relative XY, which is a useful thing to have. So you can kind of take your hand off and it remembers the position. So yeah, I couldn't do this any other way, because what if I had to have all these, because these knobs are really small, but luckily because they're just like a single finger area that you need to access them, they can be really tightly packed and they're still very accessible in the moment. But if you wanted to use a MIDI fighter to have 8 knobs, you're talking about a big block where you have to have like space between the knobs to touch them. So I'm really tied to, I mean, there's loads of other shit in here I could talk about, but like I'm really tied to touchscreens for that reason, for breaking the boundaries of a box and still having functionality. So there's like, I've got this like spec which kind of goes all, but that's for the fine control. I just stay within the boundaries of the box, and then you only get kind of subtle kind of stuff. But then if you
so is each iPad kind of dedicated to slightly different things? Or?
Yeah. So the top left iPad is my drums, and rather awkwardly, which kind of breaks the design schema of it, the controls for my synth. And my synth is one instance of crossfade loop synth by Expert Sleepers, and it's the only thing I could find that existed in VST form that allows you to sample instantly. Instantly. So, because that's what I wanted to do.
A module, or is it a? Oh, you said it's a VST.
It's a VST called crossfade loop synth, and it's good. And if you just it's just that and a bunch of subtractive synthesis and basic kind of wavefoldy kind of stuff and standard kind of effects. We're all using Tornado by Sugar Bytes.
Nice.
But it's what I like is that because the source wave is always my voice and my voice is imperfect, it's kind of different every time. So it's not like choosing a patch on a synthesizer.
And these controllers are all controlling Ableton, right?
Yeah, the whole thing is hosted in Ableton, and the iPads make no noise themselves.
They're not like storing any buffer or anything like that.
There's no audio passing through them. They're just literally it's interface stuff. So the first iPad is drums, and the drums are separated into there's 3 loopers. There's kicks and full loops if I want to do them. Basically, it's just got full bass extension, and then the middle one is snares, which has a bit of a cutoff, and then hi-hats, which has quite an extreme cutoff. So that's nice places to put those kind of sonic elements. And then in the melodic group, I've got bass, melody, and pads, and each of those has effects, again in Tornado per channel, to enhance those particular musical categories. So just slight differences in control and stuff like that. And then they all are grouped into this melodic bus, which also has another instance of Tornado by Sugar Bytes. And the only reason why it's Tornado is because I like the way it works. It's quite a fun, reliable playground for effects where you can't get too carried away because you've only got 8 modules to use per instance of this plugin. It's all designed for like super low CPU and latency. So it doesn't matter what you throw into it, it's going to work. And it's well supported. I like the Sugar Bytes guys. They're brilliant. And they've sort of put some of my presets into the plugin and loads of feature requests and updates and bug fixes and stuff like that. And then my bottom right iPad is the kind of final master bus. So that, again, more effects using Tornado. And there's a lot of Ableton native stuff as well. No other third-party plugins, purely because I tried to add third-party VSTs other than Sugar Bytes Tornado, and it's Augustus Loop by Expert Sleepers that I use for the looper. I tried to add other things, and they all seem to introduce CPU overload or latency that I don't want to deal with. So just to keep it really lean and slim and light on the CPU, it's amazing what you can achieve with just Ableton's built-in stuff. Also, I just didn't want... I'd had bad experiences with third-party stuff going out of date, not being supported, and then I've come to rely on it and stuff like that. So I just figure if I stick with native Ableton stuff, just to see how far I can get with that, then that's always good. There's not very much Max for Live in it either. There's like little bits here and there. Like my live quantizer is something that was built for me by my friend Sebastian Lexa, who's amazing.
Yeah, nice.
And there's
is it basically like a gate that opens and shuts and then like just lets the MIDI notes through that? How's it working? Because it obviously can't
queues them up.
quantize.
It queues up note on messages and only lets them through on the
Like,
16th,
yeah,
on the
yeah.
8th,
So it's
whatever you've
basically
configured
probably
it to.
just like a gate opening and shutting or something like that at a certain quantizable rate, right?
No, it actually queues them up in a list
Oh, cool.
because, because it has to, because it's a note on event. So it has to kind of store that note on event and then trigger it, and then it dumps them if it's gone past the line.
Damn, that's sick.
It's fucking sick because you can just sort of spaff all over the machine. Like this machine is kind of it's well enough put together that it's hard to make a non-musical result. You could still make dog shit if I try to use it drunk, it just isn't good. Like if you didn't know what you're doing with it, you'd make some bullshit. But it's hard to make something that sounds out of time. You can take all the quantization off, which I often do. If I'm trying to make like a sort of Dilla-esque beat or something, then I'll take all the quantization off and deliberately just kind of vibe it. But if you want to make really tight drum and bass, you can do that. And if you want to make really like rugged techno, it's kind of like that. It's part of this philosophy of like embracing the mess and sort of embracing the noise and crafting with the noise. Like embracing mistakes and kind of deliberately introducing errors, like a certain amount of kind of stochastic creativity, and then just refining that down in real time. So for example, if I wanted to make some techno, I'll do something deliberately dumb, like, and then I'll just, and then I've got that, then I can set a BPM. I've now got a click in my ear that you can't hear, but then if I'm like, was like, yeah, there's not much that went into making that, but very quickly it starts to sound like techno. It's yeah.
It's sick, man. Yeah, it's such a cool setup. And the is it a launch pad on the left?
Oh yeah, I think it's flipped for you from where you're looking. Yeah, it's on the right here. Yeah, standard Launchpad Pro. Seems to do the job. Yeah. You know that, like, yeah. So we had an idea that was like, I still want to do it. I still really want to do it. Basically, to make a whole bunch. I want to do it like as a video though, to do it properly. Basically, be like, "What's up? I'm going to record loads of noises for Mr. Bill, and then I'll record all the noises and just go wild and weird. Just make the weirdest fucking noises I possibly can. Because you can do this mad iterative stuff, which isn't a million miles away from the way that you do your like sort of open freeform sound design sessions that you then cut from, where like." Yeah. I think that's cool. Meaty. So yeah, that's the kind of thing that I would be giving you. Would that be useful?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. It's quite noisy, but yeah, you could use it. I often find the noisier a signal, like the more high frequency and distortion and stuff that it has in it, the harder it usually is to work with. But you can always like filter it back and then re-distort after filters and stuff like that.
Well, I don't have to. But that's good actually to get that direction. So then I won't give you shit that's too fucking mental. But I suppose, like, would you be wanting stuff that's like, I could easily give you something that's like I guess sort of just like like a finished track that's just in stems, or I could give you something that was like really unpolished, wild sound design adventures, or something in between.
I think something that's more of a track would make more sense, and then I can sort of like produce over the top of that or whatever, rather than having to like make music out of a sound design.
Yeah. Right. Well, it depends. I just wondered what a good challenge would be, like what kind of thing you like to get your teeth into. You know what I mean?
The thing you were making at the start was sick. That like tipper style sounding beat, like that old school tip hop vibe thing.
Tip is amazing, man. Tip is like his tiny face track. I still think that's one of the best comedy routines in the whole history of comedy. It's amazing. It's a tune that ends up slapping itself in the face.
Wait, why do you think it's comedic?
It's like that tune gives me this like delight that most music, like your music, does it as well. This kind of like there's humor in it. Do you know what I mean? Like that. I mean, I don't want to tell my grandmother how to suck eggs, but you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, you know this, you make the shit, but it's like, I don't know, I mean, you must see the parallels between like a good comedy bit and like a tune with levity in it, or like Nirvana songs. I feel like they're comedy bits, not because they're funny, because there's irony in them, and there's like a journey and sort of reincorporation of themes, and like it's self-effacing. And I feel like that Tiny Face tune by Tipper, it's done with so much comedy that like you can't take that tune seriously. It still bangs, but like
it's just like very cheeky, kind of.
So cheeky, so silly, so funny, and so uplifting and dumb. Like there's this one part where like literally the tune's going whoa, hey, oh, like that, and you can hear this like slapping noise. It just sounds like someone's going oh, like this. It's so fucking funny. It's amazing. I mean, he's made loads of incredible fucking music, but that one tune for me is like one of the greatest moments.
I guess Spunyan music is kind of like that too, right? Spunyan has got that same sort of like oh.
It's so wild. It's fucking. But your music's got loads of that shit in it. That's like there's so much like awareness, and I don't want to say comedy, but that's what keeps coming to mind.
No, I kind of understand what you mean. And that stuff becomes like really apparent, I think, when you're on psychedelics, right? Like when you're listening to music and something happens in the tune or whatever, and you're like, how could they possibly?
Well, I love you. Like, I mean, yeah, I heard you saying the other day that like you come from like a breakcore background, you know?
Sort of. I come from like a more of a psytrance background, but yeah, also breakcore and like IDM as well.
You know, I think
my progression went like metal, then psytrance, then like breakcore, and then more IDM stuff. Yeah, I know Passenger of Shit and Shit Wank Records.
I know I didn't even have to repeat to finish the word. I mean, yeah. So I think Passenger of Shit's better than the Beatles. It's so
solid claim.
It's my hot take for the day. No, but like I love like deliberately annoying music is so funny. But like I feel like your music has an awareness that music like Girlfriend of the Year or Shitwank Records kind of stuff, or like Tim Exile's early work, this kind of thing comes from this place of like some kind of impatience that manifests as delight. I get that with like the intricacy, but it's not, your shit isn't just intricate. There's levity in there where like you'll pull back on an idea just in time. And there's a lot of that in modern dubstep and rhythm and all kinds of stuff. But like yours especially, I feel like you're so open to playing with textures and arrangements and stuff like that. And there's so much musicality in it. Yeah, you rule.
Thanks, man. Speaking of rhythm, can you make rhythm on this setup?
Probably.
You make
but you know what?
Yoink basses.
A yoink?
Yeah, you know those classic rhythm basses. They're like boom, yoink, boom, yoink, yoink, yoink.
As in what, like fucking? Isn't just like yoink, yoink, yoink? That's more like old
That's
school.
more of a yoy.
Yeah,
that's the 2000. That's the 2011 wub.
Yeah, exactly.
That's more of a yoink for sure.
Yeah, I think that's the
classic
how to get that kind.
New dubstep sound.
Yeah, something like that. I need to. Yeah. What the fuck? Oh, I fucked that up.
Yeah,
that wasn't a good example.
It's so cool
Something like that.
to just be able to make music in real time. It must be like so much more satisfying than what I do, which is just like fucking sitting here for hours fucking around with drums and like bass sounds and stuff.
I mean, I think I'm doing some of the same stuff, and what you're doing so much more finessed. Like that's the one thing that you can't do with this is really finesse.
Well, if
a
you're
mix.
recording stems out, you can, right? You just can't do it in real time.
No, exactly. So I mean, you know, if I want to do a snare, I can do layering to be like, you know, and then to sort of record over that with a bit of a, and then, and for a bass, give it, and then give it, and maybe a bit of, you know. So
Dude,
yeah.
that actually sounds sick.
It fucking does. So yeah.
Surprised how much like tactility you get out of the launch pad. I never found it to be that tactile. Maybe it's like a newer version or something. I got like the original launch pad, and I always found the buttons to be a little fucky.
Yeah, I
like it a lot. I find it to be
I like it. I think it's yeah. No, I think it's good. I think it's good. Good. I like it. I like it a lot. That's a bit much, isn't it?
So on the launch pad, if you're just going up a line, does that just pitch the drums up?
Yeah, it does. And that took some fuckery to get right because I had to make a whole bunch of MIDI filters being put through specific channels that only send certain MIDI notes, all sort of, you know, corrected their values through to the same instrument. Because Ableton
Is that
has to be
basically
done that way.
using like a MIDI effect rack plus the scale plugin plus pitch
Exactly.
plugins? Yeah, makes sense.
Exactly. Like multiple MIDI channels to pull that off, which is irritating, but it is what it is. Yeah. But it's all worth it.
Ableton needs to get a little better with the MIDI routing. I mean, the external instrument device is really useful to be able to send MIDI. It's what I use for instance, like side chaining. I just like send the MIDI from my kick or my snare to like a side chain as well by just doubling up the rack in like an instrument rack and then putting an external instrument running in parallel with the sampler or whatever and then send the MIDI that way.
What? You use the external instrument utility to send MIDI to where? To literally outside the box and back in again?
No, just inside the session. So I use it just to send MIDI from my drum channel to my sidechain channel. But
I didn't know you could do that
without
with the
having
external instrument thing.
Yeah, without having to create a whole nother MIDI track to like, as a through sort of thing.
That's a cool hack. I didn't know that was a thing. I thought that was for audio only, the external instrument. I've just never fucking looked at that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it sends MIDI. I mean, that's the whole point of it, right? Is like sending MIDI somewhere and then sending audio back in. It's like some all-in-one stop shop to do that. But
Right,
you can just use the MIDI bit and like don't use the audio bit.
And you can use the MIDI bit without it going out. You can do that like
Internally in Ableton.
Internally without having to leave the box.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I might have a little play with that.
Yeah, you might be able to
rabbit hole to go down. Yeah.
You could reduce your channel count by a whole one channel.
Yeah, it's funny. Over the years, I've learned when something is a rabbit hole. Like where I've learned where the quicksand lies. Do you know what I mean?
Totally, yeah. You got to be careful. I mean, I like one of those rabbit holes for me, for instance, is like plugin companies sending me plugins to beta test, which I'm so bad at turning it down, right? Because I'm like, new plugins, fuck yeah. But it is a rabbit hole. And if I say yes to all of them, I just end up having no time. I'm always just like learning a new plugin.
I'm terrible because I'll beg a company to like send me a thing and then I just won't use it, or I'll be like, or they'll contact me because they want me to try it out, and I'll be like, yeah, definitely, I'll make a whole video on it, and I just don't, or I open it and I'm like, ugh, and then I just close it again.
Like companies often think the same for me, right? Like they give me a plugin or whatever, and they're like, "Hey, you want to make a video?" And my answer to them now is just like, if I gel with it and think it's really sick, then yeah, I'll like most likely use a video, make a video, or at the very least case, I'll be using it on my stream all the time if I really like it. So, but
how often do you stream your productions? Do you stream like every production you do, or are there some things that you'd want to like never show anyone?
I stream everything I can, but I'm often working on stuff that I can't stream, like working on projects for other people, or working on, I don't know, just boring shit as well, like accounting or like stuff like that.
Live streaming your taxes.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
oh Jesus Christ! If it wasn't for the fact that that was a terrible idea, that's the kind of thing I'd like some company for, like. It's the most. I think even Einstein said that. Like he's like, physics isn't complicated. Like tax law is complicated. It's like you'll learn to understand. This is why I love Steve Duda so much, because like he like forced himself to learn to code specifically so he could make the things that he felt he would like to make. And I think if you're led by, like, it's like I'm learning Max MSP at the moment because there are specific things that I need. So I'm learning Max MSP quickly because I really need to know how to build this specific object. So I'll like make the interface for it and I'll be like, right, what do I need to do to make this work? And that's like, you'll learn really fast when you're teaching yourself, because there's resources for learning anything these days on the internet, but you just need to have the impetus to do it.
Yeah, that's totally true. You don't need to go to college anymore if you don't really have the money or don't want to, if you have the discipline and if you have the time. But yeah, it's really hard to drive yourself to learn new things, I find. Like I've tried to learn so many things this year. Actually, one of them was Max. Like I tried to get further down that rabbit hole and eventually stopped. And
I wouldn't bother unless there's something specific that you really want to build that you need. Do you know what I mean? If there's a thing you've got in your head, then
there
you'll do
usually is. Like every now and then I'll be like, fuck, I wish I could do this. And then I'll just like find a workaround because I can't be bothered learning Max, or like, or I'll just convince myself that doing that thing isn't that important to me or something.
I mean, I mean, your music's sick anyway. Are there things? Is it more for live stuff, like controlling live stuff that you want to use Max for?
It's usually for like utility type stuff, like making sample packs, for instance. You know, like I wish there was an easier way to do that, or like, you know, sound design sessions. Like I wish there was a better way to like scrub through all my crap and organize it and stuff like that. It's usually stuff like that.
Yeah, I heard you say that you downloaded Juice and you were going to try and get into that, and then didn't.
I downloaded Juice once upon a time, yeah, and I didn't get into that. The things I've gotten into this year, mostly that I've actually like stuck with and that I'm super into, is mountain biking, chess, baking, and that's about it.
Fair enough. It's good to have hobbies outside of music because it would be very easy to go mental if you only did one thing. There's a guy who I know called Onyx Ashanti. And if you don't know his work, then you should check it out because it'll make you feel very, very normal. He busks on the streets of.
Whoa, this guy looks intense.
He's quite special. He busks and he only takes payment in Bitcoin.
Huh.
But that's the least crazy thing about him. He, like, when I met him, he was playing one of those iwi things, you know, like an electronic clarinet MIDI thing that you blow into. Mm-hmm. And then he was like, I have a dream where I can like have my hands free. So he like designed these like 3D printed things that he built himself where it's got the functionality of one of these MIDI clarinet things, but you can separate your hands apart. So it's like a two-handed thing.
Seeing these things that he's got now, they look pretty
Yeah,
technical.
and well, now it no longer resembles like a MIDI oboe. Now it's a fucking suit that he wears, and he's 3D printed these like circles all over his body. He wears it as a suit. I think he's augmented his skin with it now. I think he's embedded it into his face, but I couldn't be sure because his photos on Instagram are really kind of fuzzy. And he now doesn't even speak English. Like his last post that I saw from him was, I think I'm about to transcend language. And now he only speaks through his like 3D printed
he made
fucking robo mesh.
He made a post 17 hours ago that's in English on Twitter.
Oh, that's good. What does it say?
It says, like that, ellipses 1/18/2021, YouTube link via YouTube. This is all I ever wanted Google Glass to do. I'm glad they didn't though.
Right.
And then this next post says, strolling with the Geordie, real-time FPV and wide angle.
Okay, so that's probably going to be footage of him playing because his music isn't
like Max. Pure data patches.
Yeah. Pure data, but it doesn't sound like music. It's like weird blips and like he's a jazzer. He's got some mad chops, but like he doesn't make anything that's recognizable as like music now. He just makes these like and he kind of moves like around. There's lights on him. He has like cranial stimulation pads on the side of his head. So like he's got the computer stimulating his brain. So he's like moving his hands and it stimulates his brain to do more weird shit.
So sick. Yeah, he seems like a full tech lord.
Yeah. He's like a sort of.
Do you know Ankle Pants?
Yes, I know. Well, I don't know him personally, but I fucking love Ankle Pants.
Yeah, he was a guest number 2 on my podcast, actually.
Was he?
Yeah. And
Ricard Fache, right?
Yeah, Ricard Fache.
Oh, he's such a genius.
Yeah.
For anyone that doesn't know, check out Ankle Pants, man. Ankle Pants has like a penis nose prosthesis that is MIDI controlled.
But this is like the least interesting thing about his setup, right? Like his whole setup is like he has accelerometers and like it's basically the same as this dude, right? It's like a whole suit that he wears, and the whole suit like controls a max patch that is doing all this insane shit. But he gets really frustrated because like obviously it's very hard to look past the mask. So,
well, he's worried people don't take him seriously.
Yeah, exactly. Like
there's one simple thing he could do to change that if he really wanted to. Not having robo cognose.
No, I've told
and this
him.
Horrifying mask. I think isn't his real bread and butter is like practical effects for movies, right?
Yeah, he's like he was a prosthetic technician for a long time, which is why the mask looks so like incredibly realistic. But he just gets like frustrated because he's like, oh man, like I do all this like crazy technical stuff and you know people just like come and go like lol a penis like and don't appreciate any of the stuff that I'm doing.
Well then don't put a penis on your face. I mean, you don't want people to look at the penis and say, look at penis. Just don't put a penis on your face. What the fuck? That's,
Wait,
I
he's
know
in
that
too
your
deep
man.
now, man. Like you
Oh my
can't
God.
take it off now. I've actually worn the mask before.
You have?
Yeah.
Maybe you are Ricard Farché.
It's possible. No, he's too small.
How would you know?
Because he's really little. Like,
Is he?
yeah. Like, I mean, yeah, if you see him like live or whatever, he's like he's a pretty small dude.
Is he? Oh my God, it's so. But I'll put him in that same category as Shitwank Records and like Onyx Ashanti. Like these are people that I fucking just love. And even like Imogen Heap, even though she definitely doesn't make music that's in that category. Like her Gloves project, you see that shit?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that shit's wild. Like she just like
Who made
innovates because
those?
she
Did she make those herself?
she had a team of like 25 people or something. And some of those people did a little bit of work for me on some code that I needed written. And I sort of had some contact with some of those people. She's got, a brilliant, smart team of coders and Max people and stuff like that.
It looks like they sell these things now. Ariana Grande uses them.
Yeah.
A bunch of people are using them these days. Yeah, crazy.
She tried to do a Kickstarter, but the Kickstarter failed. But I'm guessing that she's got funding from somewhere.
They've figured it out because they're selling these things now. You can order them for for one, $1,250, for two, $2,500, and this is in Great Britain pounds.
Fucking A. I wish I had a use for it. There have been times when I looked into gaming gloves. That's a thing. You know, have you seen gaming gloves?
No.
Maybe they don't even make them anymore. That was a thing for a while. You press your hands together, and there's like these like different pads on this glove. So like, I don't know if you can see my hand from the shot I've got, but you like press your fingers on different parts of your fingers and stuff, and you've got these different controls. I was looking into that for a while. I never fucking invested, but
interesting.
I mean, yeah,
Dude, you could probably make
crazy.
some serious work of these Mimu gloves.
I'm a bit scared of them. That's a rabbit hole if ever I saw one. I mean, like Ariana Grande's got like a whole team around her trying to make it work. I mean,
That's a good point.
have you ever used Endless? Tim Exile's
No,
app?
I know what it is. Yeah, I actually, I have. I downloaded it and I like had a quick look at it, but I have not spent a lot of time with it. I understand the concept though. It's like basically real time collaboration with people over an app, right?
Yeah, and specifically music as an activity rather than work to come out with a finished product. So it's music as a game, as an interaction method. So if you've got a friend you want to interact with, it's like you going to play football or whatever, fucking pool, have a drink, or you can do some endless jamming, you know?
Yeah, that sounds cool. So do you have to be in the vicinity of the other person to jam with them, or can you do it over like online from a distance?
You could do it from Mars. It's it's asynchronous. So it's you fuck with their loops and you turn channels on and off and whatnot, and then as soon as you hit loop, it goes to them, and then they get it. And because it's not in real time, latency is not an issue. So your app is playing, their app's playing. And if you're on a giant jam with like 20 people in it or something, everyone's contributing loops. And so the thing is constantly evolving. So it gets quite confusing, but it's a mad experience to knowing that you're all collaborating on this one thing, but it branches. So like people will take a loop and then start fucking with it. And then someone will fuck with that and someone will fuck with that. And so people end up sort of branching off of different versions of the track. I mean, I actually think that it should be structured like that, where it branches off, but Tim's got enough on his plate. So at the moment, it's just kind of, these things are in series and they're mutually exclusive.
Yeah, Tim's always done some cool, interesting stuff. He's actually been the one, I think, who's been ahead of the curve for a long ass time. Him and like Richard Devine, people like that, I think they're the ones who are like truly ahead of the curve with technology.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I feel like Richard Devine has also like started his modular collection before everyone else. So he's got this insane spaceship.
He has
it's amazing just to look at.
Yeah, he has apparently like just way more modules than he has rack space. So he just like has cupboards like full of modules, but like just only a finite amount of rack space. I mean, every new module that comes out just most likely just gets gifted to him, right? Because if he makes one post on his Instagram about it, it sells like 500 copies.
Yeah, for sure. God damn. Do you know what? I went to Herbie Hancock's studio like 5 years ago or something. And that was a trip. That was a trip. But like, he has this room full of gear. There's just like a massive garage just full of gear, full. Because everyone will send Herbie Hancock their shit.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have time to play it ever. He just uses like a Korg, whatever it's called. But he's like, yeah, I don't know what to do with this stuff. There's like thousands and thousands of pounds worth of.
Yeah, it's like you can't like sell it, right? Because if you get given a thing and then you sell it, it's kind of like the ultimate dick move.
Or just like sign it and like make another $1,000 on it. How much would a signed keyboard by Herbie Hancock go for? Fucking thousands. You could sell that all off for charity. Yeah, you could probably make bajillions just by doing that for a charitable cause.
You definitely could. That's actually
a signed copy of my first album once sold at auction for £1 more than the retail price.
That's pretty next level. Yeah, it's funny how people pay extra for a signed thing. I feel like if you give a shit about signed things after the age of like 13, you need to reevaluate a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I still have a copy of, Ricky Gervais?
Yeah.
Obviously. Yeah. He's, did you know he made this series of, I want to say children's books, but they're not really children's books. They're just really fucked up. These books called Flanimals, which are these like nonsense animals.
No,
Did you ever see this?
I have not.
Yeah, it wasn't his most successful project, but it's my favorite thing he's ever done. It's like, it's these things he's drawn his whole life, these just stupid bullshit non-animal things that he'd like draw a shape and then color it in and then give it a stupid name. And I think he was just doing this as like a pastime, and he decided to compile them into a book, and he released it, and they're called Flanimals. And they're just the stupidest, weirdest, dumbest shit, and he's given it a proper intro, and he got an artist to like properly like shade them in and shit. It's so weird. And it did quite well when it came out in England. So like he did a further like 3 books, and the final one ends with this giant flanimal apocalypse where they all die. And like but I've got a signed book of his which I cherish, because it's one of my favorite things in the world, is this fucking book. Like, I read it to my kids, and I shouldn't. But they know all the names off by heart of these fucking things. Yes. I shouldn't. I don't know who let me have children. It's definitely a bad idea. I'm going to warp them. That's the hardest thing to do if you've got kids, is not to leave them like really warped. Like, I try and not play them Passenger of Shit.
I think depending on the Passenger of Shit tune, so long as it doesn't have too many questionable samples in it, it's probably fine.
I haven't played them I Staple Tapeworms on My Penis by Passenger of Shit yet.
So yeah, probably hold off on that one.
Yeah, or showing them any of the album artwork. The
album artwork's the real questionable shit in that. Like, you can tell he just does it himself, and he's just like, haha, like dicks and shit everywhere. How's that?
But I love that. I love when, it's a sort of a toxic term, but outside of music, because it doesn't, I don't know.
It's a pretty interesting overall just aesthetic that he has going on.
Just people that make music because they really want to make it. Like, they like the activity of making it. Like, it's so easy to forget that makes the best art, is when it's shit that's made because the person making it fucking adores the process of making it so much that it just ends up being like a slice of dopeness. When you try and contrive something to be good, I mean, I've heard you say it a few times, it's so true. It's just, you can smell it a mile off when something is forced out,
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think like with something like Passenger of Shit, it's like, when you're making that stuff that it's not going to sell like thousands of copies, right? Like, you just like know, like it's not the kind of thing that like, it's the kind of shit where if you like put it on, people will like turn that off.
Yeah, right.
Which is like,
did you ever hear the?
Sorry.
Did you ever hear the mix that me and DJ Yoda did?
No, I don't think so.
you'd hate it, and that's the point. We did this mix of like, we were trying to find like a way to collaborate that we were both really into, and like we couldn't find a way to divvy up our like areas of focus and our respective talents in a way that would like be worthwhile. But we were still like, we were hanging out, and then we started like playing each other the shit that we had kept on our laptops that was just, we'd just both been collecting the worst music we'd ever heard and putting them into folders. And so we ended up making this fucking mix of like this tortuously terrible music that's, yeah, just like bad records, or like just, you know, like novelty records by like footballers, and like really horrific. I think Passenger of Shit made it onto there. Just like, and we made it quite pacey, so it kind of flows. So it's quite a compelling listen, but I wouldn't like put it on at a party or anything.
Nice. Yeah, that challenging music, it's like, it's definitely needed for the music scene at large. Like it's good to have people on the fringe like doing this crazy shit to kind of like, you know, if you look at music as just like a bubble, it's like you need these people on the edge like just stretching it to like a bigger and bigger bubble, you know. And I think that's really cool and interesting. But yeah, I mean, I used to go out of my way to listen to Passenger of Shit, but I haven't in a while. I actually used to love it, man. Like back in the MySpace days, that was like one of my most frequented MySpace accounts. Probably.
I can tell though, when I listen to your music, I'm like, this cunt knows. He knows that music can be unlistenably wonderful or like delightfully unlistenable. And it's like it's like if you're using spice in cooking, you don't dump the whole pot in, but a little bit just fucking sets it off, you know what I mean? Like something exactly. A tiny bit unbearable for a second is great.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I definitely think through breakcore and like learning how to produce a little bit of breakcore for a while, and also just like being pretty familiar with the aesthetic and style of it has helped me a lot to just know when to throw in those little bits of breakcore, basically.
It's funny because like what Skrillex did was really important for music. I think.
Yeah, like completely revived dubstep. Like I think dubstep was a dying genre at the time. I felt like it was anyway. At least it was in Australia. But then Skrillex came out and it's like, bam, it's the new thing again.
Yeah, it's funny because like I heard someone the other day on some comment thread was like, Skrillex invented dubstep, and I'm like, I think I actually like replied to it, being like, no, he ended it. Like he's like, for me, he's like the coda at the end of dubstep, where he's like, okay, well, you've kicked wub wubs to death, and you've given your yoys a chance, and yays, and you've used massive. Okay, so now what? And then Skrillex comes along and he's like, well, there's all these other genres, so I'm going to change genre every like half bar or whatever, and you're just going to deal with it. And that's common now to hear that level of switch up. There's people doing like Igloo Ghost is madness.
Oh, dude,
you know?
Igloo
like,
Ghost is so sick. Like
fucking incredible.
You can tell that guy's like listen to breakcore as well for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, his music is essentially breakcore.
You reckon? I think
a lot of it, yeah. Like
the defining thing for breakcore for me is when like the Venetian snaresness of it, where you really can't dance to it because it's not to dance to. It's just like you can get your head kicked into. You know?
Amen. Yeah, it's like the Amen break snare just like played up and down it's like someone's running their hand along the keyboard, like sampling the Amen break snare.
Like I saw Tim Exile play in like 2005 or something in this breakcore festival when breakcore festivals were a thing, and he just had his like laptop with keys missing and these weird like drawers that pulled out of this strange contraption he'd built, and it was in this cave somewhere in Austria, and there was like water dripping from the ceiling and shit, and like drunk girls like throwing pints over his laptop and stuff, and I'm like trying to protect his laptop, being like, fucking stand back, this is important, what's going on here? And he was like, it was formless and fucking freeform and so creative and just like recursive, the way he'd take a piece of audio and then do something to it and then do something to that, like constantly resampling. and was mulching and distorting and recontextualizing, and with no regard for the structure of the thing being in multiples of 4, no regard for there needing to be things like tension and release or builds and drops. And you'd think that would be, okay, fine. So it's kind of museum step or something. It's like hardcore. No. It was a fucking experience, like being hammered in the face with music itself. And people were kind of dancing at it or despite it rather than with it. And everyone was on a lot of ket, I think, but like people were kind of, it was like the way people were dancing, it was like it was an earthquake. They were just kind of, they couldn't quite, again, probably the ket. But like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it was, that is one of the defining moments of my life, I think, seeing that and being a part of that fucking crazy, sweaty little cave rave and knowing cool that that's possible.
It's cool that these like moments can like really affect your musical career. Hey, like I've had a few of those moments too during my career. And it's like when I make music, it's not like I'm trying to recreate what was playing at that time, but I'm trying to recreate something that made me feel like I felt when I was listening to that at that time.
Oh, damn. What are those little flashbulb moments for you?
It's always happened basically when I've been on acid or something like that. or mushrooms or just like some psychedelic drug where I'm just like in some other worldly state. And then it's usually to something more psychedelic like psytrance or something like that. And I don't know, there'll just be these periods of like an hour where I'm just like really high and the music is just like perfect for that time.
Right.
And it's just like, I've had like some pretty crazy experiences with listening to psytrance on acid before, just like sitting in front of these giant sound systems, just like losing my mind, just being like, what the fuck is going on? Everything is like so clean and so well edited and like everything is perfect. And it's just like, a lot of those moments. And then I guess like I've had some pretty cool, like completely sober moments at Tipper sets actually, where, his stuff is just so crazy anyway. It's just really nice to listen to regardless. But yeah, there's just like some perfect moments in his sets sometimes that are really inspirational.
Sick, man. I've actually never done a proper hardcore actual psychedelic because I am the kind of person who is almost guaranteed a bad trip. And like even maybe just thinking that that's the case could induce a bad trip if I'm like going into it being like, I bet I'm gonna have a fucking bad trip. Like because I don't think people like, there's some people who take psychedelics who are like, these should be mandatory, like everyone should take these. And it's like, no, everyone's brain is different, not everyone should take psychedelics. I mean, like I've had bad trips off fucking weed.
Like, dude, no, weed is the one that gives me like the worst bad trips. Like I cannot smoke weed at all. It like gives me crazy anxiety.
Yeah, man. I mean, I can't smoke that shit anymore. Jesus Christ. I mean, yeah, not a chance. Not a chance. I mean, looking after children, especially not. But like,
weed gives you like the crazy paranoia though. It's like the one weed gives you like that physical anxiety where you're like, I'm definitely dying. Like I definitely need You're like, I wasn't, I felt completely fine before the weed, but then I smoked the weed and something has happened between then and now. I'm definitely dying.
Yeah, that's not a good vibe, is it?
And you like convince yourself of it. You're like, even, logically, like, no, I just smoked weed and I know for sure that the weed is just giving me this like weird physical anxiety or whatever. But then you're like, but what if this time it's the actual death?
Oh my God.
And you somehow every time convince yourself that it's for sure happening this time.
Man, at this bush stuff that I was at when I was last in Australia, we like finished the set and everything. And then we're all chilling backstage in the tent. And the organizer of the festival reaches over and turns the music up on the little stereo to mask the sound of screaming that's coming from the other tent. And I'm like, what is that? She's like, it's the medical tent. It's fine. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, someone's in fucking agony. She's like, no, he's just getting the horrors. He'll be all right. tomorrow morning. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, it happens a lot here. And I'm like, wait, are you serious? Like, he's like, yeah, you know, it's, I was like, how many of these do you have any night? How many of these do you have in the festival? She's like, well, you know, every night there's a couple. So like, there's a couple, but this guy sounded like his eyes were being clawed out from the inside by demons.
Wow.
Like, it was fucking horrifying to hear. And it was just that's why I've never done acid, man. Because I just...
Because of that guy.
Because of dudes like that, where I would be that dude. I just fucking know it. And I'm afraid of like a 12-hour trip that I can't get out of. And I'd never be the fucking same. I know I'd never be the fucking same.
Yeah, there is a bit of that for sure. Like definitely the 12-hour thing is something I'm not a huge fan of. But I actually found a way around that.
Oh, yeah?
Would you like to know?
Sure.
You snort the liquid acid. I know it sounds like super fucked up and like crazy and weird, but it only lasts like 6 hours if you do that. That's
really?
My pro tip
Oh my God.
to anyone out there who's trying to fix that problem.
This shit's going to be edited out so hard. There was a time I did some salvia, which gives you a very, very, very brief trip to a perfectly geometrical alternate universe, and it was really weird. And I was like, yeah, like I had a bit, and I was like, that was cool. I'll do a bigger hit, and I was transported to this. It was like a sort of, everything became a sort of completely two-dimensional paisley pattern, and it didn't matter where I looked, it was this sort of two-dimensional kind of, you know, mosaic kind of thing. But then something really bad started to happen, because I sort of noticed that the sort of bottom right-hand corner of existence, as I perceived it, was a void. And I'd never experienced a void before, as in like utter nothingness, as in the lack of anything, as in the same kind of experience that if you like look at your hand, you slowly move your hand outside your like area of vision until you can't see it anymore. It was that. Like there isn't anything there, but it wasn't. But I, like normally you'd have an awareness that, okay, well I've got my hand kind of disappearing outside of my vision, but I know it's there. With this, there was literally nothing. It's really hard to describe. Coming back from a trip and trying to explain what you fucking like experienced. But
It always cheapens.
It was terrifying.
Like whatever you experience. The person I've heard do the best job of this is actually Sam Harris. He has a podcast, or I guess like just him talking to himself, I guess a monologue on his YouTube channel of him on a mushroom trip, which was a 5-gram mushroom trip. So the heroic dose, as Terence McKenna calls it. And he explains the experience, and he does a really good job, I think, of explaining the experience.
Is he doing the same thing that your music does then? Explaining the experience, describing, is your music a poetic version of Sam Harris? Would you want to get him on a track?
Just like Sam Harris doing monologues over a track.
Yeah, over a side trance tune.
Yeah, I think that if that doesn't already exist, it's definitely gonna exist soon.
Someone's blatantly fucking done that, man. If you can describe something, it's out there on the internet, and someone's made porn of it as well.
Yeah, that's like rule 34. Yeah. Exactly. I think there's a website that's just called Rule 34. That's just this kind of shit. It's like the most obscure crap.
My
hey man,
God.
It was awesome to have you on, but I think I'm gonna have to stop here because I need to go and do some stuff.
I'm sure you do. What time is it even? Yeah.
It's only 3:20 p.m. But yeah, I just got a few things to do this afternoon, and then I have a chess tournament tonight, so I have to prepare for that.
Fair enough, man. Well, I've got some sleeping to do because it's nearly midnight here. But hey, man, it's been really good to chat and fucking great to link up. And I'll send you some stuff, and it won't be too amorphous and noisy.
Nice. Yeah, man. It was good to finally organize this and get you on, and yeah, really cool to like meet you and hopefully after all this shit is done, I'll come over to London and hang out. My buddy Funny, who does all my artwork, like all of those weird little blobby characters and stuff.
Wicked.
Yeah, he lives in London, so I go over and visit. I've been over and stayed with him once for like a couple of weeks, and yeah, I really enjoy it over there. It's awesome.
Wicked, man. Well, yeah, when the apocalypse has run its course, let's fucking link up and take some salvia.
Okay, man. All right, cheers,
man. Wicked, dude. Take care, man. Bye.